These two have delivered the single most entertaining series of Age of Empires 4 on Season 9. And yet here we are now in a tournament format when the stakes are much higher. One and all, welcome back to the Pre-Season 9 Showdown, hosted by yours truly. We're deep into the Age of Empires 4 action, 6 hours into the tournament format, and we kick off our upper bracket final between 3D Clans B in the orange, playing as the Byzantines, going up against My Insanity's Anatan on the English in the blue. Good old classic dry rear to kick us off in this series, and an interesting matchup as well, actually. Drafts, I would say, favor Anatan, but this opening play favors B. Byzantines seems appropriate. You can pretty much slot his name into them, and when you slot them into a game against the English, the pace they play with is difficult for even the best English players to overcome. So let's see how one of the best players in Age of Empires 4 right now can deal with the heat. These two are ranked and seeded in the ATR 6th and 8th, respectively. So Anatan, 8th place, B in 6th. That is collectively, out of all players that have played Pro History AoE 4, the only ones above them are Wham, Luciferon, Puppypaw, Beastie, and Marine Lord, and of course Vortex sits between the two of them. So these are pretty much the type of players you would expect to see in quarterfinals for top S-tier action tournaments. Gonna be a fun one, actually. On a swan like this as well, I'm just looking for the smallest details that can make a difference. Love this beginning for B with the back spawning berries, so it means that longbow pressure, if Anatan goes full on a counter hall play, won't be able to connect as much as he'd like or would desire. I don't think you can play counter hall against Byzantines because they build horsemen so well. Because all they need to do is gather food and they get longbow horsemen, right? Like or javelin horsemen, which is even more brutal. So I'm imagining we're probably looking at an Abbey of Kings, and there you go, it's going to come through. The question now is whether Anatan tries to do 2TC or a fast castle rush. I think Anatan has been changing the script up a bit, where most people might just go for the classic 2TC and eventual White Tower. I've seen Anatan a few times now do these fast castle with the King's Palace builds, which is thematic. I mean, you're going to give him an Abbey, you might as well give him a Palace as well. And I think overall that kind of hits a nicer timing than trying to play into White Town or delay and just getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Byzantines is definitely one of the civs that can do that to you because of how quickly they ramp an army up between 8 and 10 minutes. Off of the back of all that olive oil, as well as the active food gathering with the system buffs, getting them to an army size of 20 to 30 quicker than most civs are ever capable of. Be on the other side, already on the distracted trees here. And I'm wondering, is this going to be that stables opening? Timing's kind of aligned for it, right? He's going to have enough to set up a lumber camp plus probably stables afterwards. We might even see him add in 1 or 2 olive groves early on, which used to be really popular for the Byzantines. Still very powerful for them. Remember, one of the crazy things with Byzantines is they still pay less wood than standard farms would require for an olive grove, which is just all over better. But on top of that, it's more than just a 5 resource saving because they get 8 stone in return. They get a rebate. And you want stone anyway because that enables the better efficiency via systems. These details really do compound into what makes Byzantines so insanely hard to deal with around 10 minutes into the game. Lumber camp down, house as well. I don't think you go border settlements, right? Border settlements did get nerfed. It used to be 80 resources. It now costs 120. On top of that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it used to be 4 or 5 seconds to research. No, I think it was like 15, but I think they put it up to 20. Overall, though, it was nerfed. The tech was way too good. Almost every Byzantine game where you felt there was even a remote threat, it would be taken. The logic being is by the time you pop out in houses, you would have actually made back what you saved in build speed here. So like 80 resources, you would have made that back by building houses 500% faster. And that's before we talk about the ridiculous vision it gives you. But Stables play is going to be coming in for B. How did you guys vote? 81% for Anatan. Woof. No B-leavers in this one, huh? Sheep dispersion is about even. We've got 11 to 13, so slight edge coming in from Anatan. And Anatan himself has not committed onto the stone. So we are going to be getting, what, double farm cluster into fast castle here? I don't think you can stick on 1 TC with that, though. You need to go 2. Switch over because we have got the Merc house coming in. And this should be the javelin plus horsemen. Lombos is kind of nice if you think your opponent isn't going to build units. My thought here is actually, like, I quite like Lombo horsemen more so than Javelin horsemen. The reason is because if English just build spears, they can defend against Jav and horsemen, as Javelins get countered by by spears quite well. But if you go Lombo plus horseman, spearman is a no-no, because they just get eviscerated. So it is slow to arrive. That's the trade-off, is that you have the 1.12 movement speed, so the 1.24. But this is the correct call by B. This is a sick build. This was actually discovered by Recon at the start of the year. He started to really innovate this whole idea of horseman Lombo, and it caught on with some of the top players and has remained a staple ever since. So first horse is already marching across and is already in. Actually blocks the wood line. Remember, the walls, they got nerfed. It takes 8 seconds to build each of these slabs. That's a long wait period, and he's already taken the bait. B, everything is aligning right now. The reaction into racks is terrible for Anatan. This is your nightmare fuel, right? This is the thing you didn't want to have to build. The timing is going to align for Pain. He'll probably be about 3 spears deep when the Lombos march across the map. Maybe 4 spears even. Because right now he's only seeing horsemen, so he's probably like to overreact. What really needs to happen here is Anatan needs an archery range prepped as well. If you start prepping it now, by the time the 5 Lombos arrive, you should have 4 Lombos with an attack speed buffer to defend. In the meantime, he's going to die on the other side, so Anatan. He does scout. That's critical info. What he just got there is huge. The Lombos attacking the king may have actually been a mistake by B, because now Anatan knows what's coming, and he could try to prep for it. And he has 2 options. You either go Lombos yourself, or you go Horseman. This is sick. So the logic behind Horseman here is he's playing Abbey of Kings. With the king, he can just cycle charge around the map and heal as he goes. So B just locked himself into a long-term losing battle. Because over periods spanning the next several minutes, B will not be able to repair the damage done. Anatan will. Meantime, though, it has been a villager for villager kill. King is going to be min-max, so we'll be able to get home before double horseman could kill him. Longbows, actually, if they run across now, B can get the kill on the king, which is huge here, but he's not doing it. So there's a actually growing risk here that the king is going to get home safe, but it looks like B is targeting that wall. He wants to block it before it goes up, and this will be a second worker kill in a game where they're both 1 TC. Trade-off, of course, being that king getting home safely, but it's worth it for a villager kill. Lombos move in. Start a step forward, he gets it. Not just that, he'll get the spearman as well, so Anatan having to back up here. Does have defender's advantage, but doesn't have the quantity yet to contest this. Other side of this B, he is going for that castle. They're actually both doing it. They understand fully what this is. It's feigned aggression. However, it doesn't really feel feigned when you see B now with a total of 3 worker kills. Pressure in these farms. Yeah, that wall was everything, right? Because if that goes up, B has to rotate wide side around the base. It takes a lot longer and makes you feel a lot more exposed to these Lombos. But this difference on the wall timing is huge. Think about it. He built half the wall in this time. Old patch, that would be complete. New patch is a whole different beast here in Age of Empires 4. King now going to dive in. Also trying to wrap around the back. The Spearmen are getting targeted down by the Lombos. So he's getting what he needs in this trade. The horseman count should be good enough to park here. Love that the Lombos just targeting down any injured horseman here. 4 Lombos down to 3, so the Kings should be able to push this away. But look at the difference. B now ready for Castle Age. And Anatan reinvesting into an age that's about to not matter. Yeah, B has his number in this one. This is rough. Horseman will have to just target down any injured ones to keep the numbers low. It's going to have to shift away in the end as the last Lombos go down. But B has what he needs. Golden Horn Tower on the way with 15 working on it. Anatan doesn't have enough gold. That is the key detail that mattered. The target point. B fought and contested over this vein because it was actively blocking Anatan's win condition. Castle Age is now going to be much later for him. And if he goes for a King's Palace, it will eventually yield a result that feels favorable. But in the interim, it's going to give B a lot of map control, and he already has a temple to build monks with. And what does he immediately queue up? 0 seconds wasted there, because he knows right now. Anatan has built horsemen, yes, but he's mirroring horsemen, so it's unlikely Anatan is going to split out and guard each relic. He's going to keep everything together in one location. I've got B sneaking up. Probably the weirdest time, actually. Because there is going to be a counter-offensive. That kind of has to be. It's almost like B is anticipating Anatan to just mirror attack. But this is the benefit of the king. Although you don't have a lot of units, if they're fast enough, you can just min-max them via healing. So he's going to look to try and poke. And if he senses any weakness, if he senses any greed on the flanks, he doesn't see the berries. That's huge. He might still scout this one because B is double dipping. And we have Cataphract play. Oh, this is cool. This is actually sick. Cataphracts are pretty smart, actually, because the English are probably going to open knights now that they've committed to stables. So this gives you dive-in potential. These are eco snipers as well. We've been seeing more and more Cataphracts, actually. I'm not sure if Catas are fully broken, but they definitely feel like they finally got a place. Warlord coming out. A little bit unnecessary from B. No, that's a dead monk. That's like when you're hiding in the trees, no one notices. You're like, I hope no one sees me. I think they know. The monk is going to get chipped down. Relic is pretty much home, but now you have to replace the monk again, right? So it's just 150 gold down the drain. First Cataphract arrives, and gotta say, Anatan's king has been saving him time and time again. It gives him the pre-info. He didn't know for sure this was Cataphracts, just like he didn't know for sure it was a longbow press. Twice now, this king has yielded results by sniping away B's key eco points, the villager and then the priest, and then he's followed it up by revealing the next step. And it's buying Anatan the time he needs to go spear crossbows in response. Kind of tricky though, and this is another reason why Lombos is so strong. Because everything Anatan's now doing gets countered by Lombos. This is not easy to do, to go Byzantines and outmass English with Lombos, but it's going to happen here because of the Cataphracts. So yeah, it's kind of a tough opening game in this upper bracket finals for Anatan. Spear upgrade is going to be on the way, but now you're fully condensed as well. You're playing infantry, which means that B doesn't have to make an olive grove transition. He has built 0 olive groves at 12.5 minutes. Do you know how rare that is for Byzantines? That's not how they play. They like to get that farm structure set up. They like to have that longevity. But this is what's giving B such a volatile timing in this game. And it's worrisome for Anatan because, you know, had this been your white tower type build, B would have to go for a farm transition. The game would play too late. That doesn't have to be the case against King's Palace. King's Palace is an underwhelming defense. Longbows against horsemen is not a fair fight. He's going to have to back away. Second wave is also coming in. Look at the way that B is starting to constrict towards this base. I love the fact that Anatan is at least keeping the king active. It's the one thing that can be out hunting. And he knows about that gathering on the berries, so this is going to be an annoying intercept. The king at this point hitting hard enough that he can always free hit these villagers. Actually, sorry, I think it's 4. Unless it's a lance charge. There we go, yeah, 4 hits. So we'll be able to cull 1. And that's actually punishment that B didn't need to take. He forgot about wheelbarrow, so now queues it up. Should be able to get home now. Cataphract's just going to mirror the move. You never want to fight this because over, say, 4 minutes, the king could win, but you have to keep kite, 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 attack, kite, 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 attack. It's a lot of distraction, and what a blocker. The safest relic in the game, and Anatan unable to reach it. Cataphract's being in the torch. More kill on the backside. Another villager kill. This is adding up. Although the pin shot, not quite there. Lombos are here now, though, so King is definitely going to die. And that is the one raider Anatan had dead. He did get some value, and that has helped this King's Palace play 2 versus 1. But Byzantines are always kind of a gnarly sieve for this detail, right? The system, you have to add on 14% to their eco. They've got the 20, they've got the extra resources in some forms like, you know, olive oil coming in at not even a 20% rate, a 6% rate. It's kind of wild. I think it's still too much. Oh, sorry, 50%. It's still too much. B now making his way home with that relic. Says, don't mind if I do. This game feels close to done. Lombo count, it's not quite at the point where it's just going to dive underneath the TC yet. And then part of that is because B was a bit gluttonous. He went full damage, no defense. But if he gets ranged armor too, this Cataphract count is almost unstoppable. Top of that, actually, if you just send a Cataphract in right now, I think the best move that B can make, he knows there's gathering on this tree line. There has to be. If he sits his Lombos here and sends a single Cataphract in, he could snipe probably 4 villages like that. Spears. Will? Okay, that was sick micro. Anasan gets this around. It's a big pinch as well. Remember, 330 resources per Cataphract. They are not cheap. I almost feel like B's playing a bit too hesitant. It's always tricky with the English because they are one of the best defensive tiers in the game due to the aura. So if they got a few units, you know, it's enough, is what we often find. Especially with the double TC fire. But just one Cataphract, kill 4 villages, I think it's worth it each time. Especially from the current position. 4th relic soon to be home. 5th one has not been scouted by B, so he's blind punting looking for it now. Also going to be kept open though. Villager's going to get sniped. I mean, this monastery is relevant at this stage. He's getting no relics in this game. And Sacred Site's now getting locked in. So B kind of padding himself against these dangers. We talked about the efficiency with Sistan, but on top of that, now soon to be 5 relics, 3 Sacred Sites. The amount of resources, 15 villager lead doesn't feel impressive at all for Anatan. You start to see how hard counted his army is. I feel that this army might as well be half the size in terms of its effective firepower. Lombos is the pristine counter to all of this. Love the blocker as well. He's a little bit threatened by the potential increase in range damage. Let's take that out. Looks like all the techs did come through though, so Anatan was quick on that. Now the snipes come through. Lanceneck starting to dive in. Villagers are not fully reacting. Several of them are getting sniped down here. B, pretty cozy to just park on the edge of the base here. This blocks wood, right? Which blocks spearman production. It blocks additional farms. It blocks additional production. This is the life essence of Anatan. If you look at the map, it has been cruel to him. The second tree line is far forward. Cataphracts are crazy, guys. It's cool to see them finally feeling impactful. Men-at-arms coming from Anatan, but this is the other thing I like about Cataphracts. It is a counter to those. You're beefy as all hell. 360 HP, 5 melee armor, 27 sword damage. On top of that, if you're more threatened by the crossbows, just dive onto them. There's nothing to stop you doing that. That's the benefit of trample here. Just blockers as well. Gold access. Not going to be given. There is a sneak out on the flanks. Anatan doing what he can to stay alive here. How does he get out of this? Because mass spears is not going to work. And this is what we were warning about with the archer meta may have just got buffed again. And I think Byzantines in particular are out of control. Mangoes are not a counter anymore. Like, this is a key issue I think that needs to be addressed. Byzantines in particular do this way too well. They scale longbows way too fast. And Mangoes used to be a counter, but since their rework, they're underwhelming. And what is up, Deniskia? Thank you very much for the raid. Well played, Deniskia, for the deep run. Bringing some big upsets. King goes down. Lombo is just dictating this game. You know how we called them discount English? No. Byzantines are premium English. Cataphract dove a little bit too deep there, so it will be an easy snipe for the crossbows. But the starvation is getting out of control. Anatan doesn't have much wiggle room. He's even now building farms out beyond where he built walls. There's 4 villages trapped, so no getting out of that. Landsticks with a swipe. Now they dive towards the crossbows. Laura got deactivated. It's going to come in again. Cataphracts to the trample through. Lanceneck follow up. What a beautiful 1-2 there. And that gives you the body blocks to allow the Lanceneck in. I love that combo, man. Lanceneck plus Cataphract is an absolute chef kisser. Maybe a kiss farewell to Anatan. The Lombo dive comes in. Crossbow count barely registering at this stage. B not going to overextend, though. He understands the attack speed aura, the static defense is the worst enemy of the Lombos. But map control is good. Eco control is good. There's a population lock on the English in this game. Never able to build a substantial lead with villages. And B, oh my god. He's home. sweet home. 25 olive groves online. So where's Anatan's out? Because people haven't hoped him if they think this game's going Imperial. B has got his belt buckle around Anno's neck. He's not letting him go. Thank you very much for the resub, Super 0T. Welcome back, buddy. Wall's going up. So a lot of extra resources here. The deer, not too bad, but you don't really want them. You just want farms. It's about the gold. Villagers does spot this early, though. Luckily for Anno, B is on the opposite side of the base, so he will be able to reclaim this territory. Look at that. This is going to be free TC, I think. I've seen Byzantines do this a lot when they can't break the game. They just go free TC. It's insane how good these olive groves are. It allows them to do this. So don't be surprised if there's a third one getting added in soon. Even if there isn't, the system effect is brilliant here. Going to tier 4 is going to give you a 22% buff everywhere. Remember, the English only get a 25% buff on the farms. So you're almost matching the farm buff for every villager. Bar the gold workers, because we have got some very overzealous ones in the center. The 3 sacred sites locked in, and the problem now is Anatan needs time. He can't afford to hunker down when the sacred sites are looming over his head. He has to do something about it soon. B. Gonna bring the fight to him, though. We have got the outpost to give the aura. Lombos are already getting the opening snipes, though. I think the only way is horsemen. But Anatan, does he really have time for that now? He could get 10 horsemen out in a minute. That'd be more like 8 per minute, right? Because you have to go with villages. But then you can't build crossbows either. And that means you have no answer to cataphracts. And I don't think he has any answer in this game. First wave gets cleared. Lombos with the follow-up. And this time, we might just see a deep dive. B has 45 longbows. Why rush though? It's classic English, right? Like, they might just turn the game from the aura when you dive. So just take the sacred site. Sure, maybe it seems a bit tedious to wait 8 minutes. But it's definitely a safer way to lock this game in. A little bit of poke raid coming in. B now with a 12 villager lead. He has more lombos. He has more villagers. He has more prize pool. I'm sorry, Anatan. In fairness, B has been going for quite a few years more. He has more mangoes. Hey, you know how mangonels got nerfed, but mango towers didn't? Just process that for a second. Watch. No, over here, buddy. Onto those crossbows. What is that range every time I watch it? He's diving by. There might be a decap here for Anno. It looks like B extended a bit wide and then went in instead. That's why he might get the decap. B, he finally had enough. Parks himself between the 2 town centers, and he's now building mango towers in the base of Anatan. Oh my god. Counterattack coming though. Anatan just tried to trade blow for blow. It's difficult though. His army notably slower. The defense is notably stronger for B. Villagers are going to stop moving away, but the damage on the other side has been done. It's 49. Made that 50 worker kills in 24 minutes. And now the quadruple Cairo Siphon to burn it all down. He's like, you guys must be making bread. You need an oven for that. Here's your heat. I think we're moments away from the GG concede here. This one has felt over for several minutes. I mean, props to Anatan for trying to find a way out. But Byzantines, what a monster civ, man. They truly, quite simply are premium English. If you can get into Imperial Age, that's not entirely true. I'd say in Imp, English good enough. Any other stage in the game, Byzantine plays a better English. Sometimes it feels like Byzantines play a better everything. Infrastructure now being burnt down. And Anatan at this point just processing the loss. A rough one, but admittedly, B's strongest point in his draft. We did highlight this, that the Byzantines were definitely the superstar of what he got. A lot more of Anatan's draft felt well-rounded, and we're going to get to see that. We've still got potentially 4 more games, but game 1 just showing the Byzantines still OP.